In Lagos, they say the city never sleeps, but they don't tell you that some things that roam its streets never wake either. So remember, if you must take an Okada at night, listen to the driver. If he's silent, if something feels wrong, if you sense a third presence, get off the bike. Some rides don't end where you think they will. The rain had stopped an hour ago, but the streets of Yaba still glistened under the flickering street lights. Chioma checked her phone again. 11:47 p.m. The last bus had long departed, and the few danfos still prowling the streets wanted double fare for the journey to Surulere. "Abeg, I no get strength for wahala tonight," she muttered, scrolling through her empty Uber app. No cars available. Of course, that's when she heard it, the distinctive power of a motorcycle engine. An Okada rider rolled up slowly, his bike a battered Bajaj that had seen better days. The headlight flickered, casting strange shadows across his helmet. "Sister, you dey go?" His voice was barely audible over the engine. Chioma hesitated. Her mother's warnings echoed in her mind. "Never enter Okada late at night. You don't know who you're riding with." But her feet ached in her heels. Her phone was at 8%, and home was still 30 minutes away. Surulere. How much? 1,000. Highway robbery. But what choice did she have? She climbed on, adjusting her bag across her chest. The seat was unusually cold, even through her jeans. "Hold tight," the driver said, and they pulled into the night. The first few minutes were normal enough. They weaved through the empty streets, past closed shops with their metal shutters pulled down, past the ever-present NEPA poles that stood like silent sentinels in the darkness. The air was thick with that peculiar Lagos smell, a mixture of rain, exhaust fumes, and suya smoke from some distant corner. But then Chioma noticed something odd. The driver hadn't spoken since they started. Not a word. Most Okada riders were chatty, asking about your day, complaining about fuel prices, warning you about police checkpoints. This one was silent as a grave. "Oga, you sabi the way well, Abi?" she asked, trying to break the uncomfortable quiet. No response. Maybe he couldn't hear her over the engine. She leaned forward slightly. "I say I know the way." His voice was flat, emotionless. It didn't sound like the same person who'd asked if she was going somewhere. A chill ran down Chioma's spine that had nothing to do with the night air. They turned onto a street she didn't recognize. The buildings here looked different, older, more dilapidated. Some were half collapsed, their windows like empty eye sockets staring into the void. "Oga, this no be the way to Surulere," Chioma said, her voice rising with anxiety. "Silence. I say this is not the right shortcut," he interrupted, his voice still that same disturbing monotone. Chioma's hands gripped the sides of the seat. Every instinct screamed at her to jump off. But they were moving too fast now, the bike accelerating through the abandoned streets. Whipped at face with a male white place, something old and musty, like a long-closed room. That's when she felt it. A third presence on the bike. At first, she thought she was imagining it, just her fear playing tricks. But no, there was definitely extra weight behind her. She could feel someone's breath on the back of her neck, cold and steady. Chioma's heart hammered against her ribs. Slowly, very slowly, she turned her head to look behind her. Nothing, just empty darkness. But the weight remained. The breathing continued. Oga, stop this bike. Stop it now. Her voice cracked with terror. The driver's head tilted slightly, as if considering her request. For the first time, Chioma noticed that his neck bent at an unnatural angle, too far to the left, like something inside was broken. "We're almost there," he said. And this time his voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The street lights began to flicker and die as they passed, plunging each section of road into darkness before the bike's weak headlight could illuminate it. In those brief moments of shadow, Chioma caught glimpses in the side mirror, glimpses of the thing sitting behind her. It wasn't human. Its face was pale, impossibly pale, with eyes that were just black voids. Its mouth was open in a silent scream, revealing rows of teeth that seemed to go on forever. Skeletal hands hovered just inches from Chioma's shoulders, as if waiting for the right moment to grab her. Chioma screamed. She screamed so loud that dogs began barking in the distance, that lights flickered on in a few windows, that her throat burned with the effort. But the driver didn't stop. If anything, the bike moved faster. They were no longer in Lagos, at least, not the Lagos Chioma knew. The buildings around them were wrong, twisted versions of normal structures. Street signs were written in languages she couldn't read. The few people she saw standing on corners turned to watch them pass, their faces blank and eyes reflecting the headlights like animals. "Please," Chioma whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Please, I just want to go home." The driver finally spoke again, and this time his voice carried a hint of something: regret, sadness. "So did I." The bike began to slow. They were approaching a bridge, the Third Mainland Bridge, Chioma realized with shock. But it looked different, older, covered in a fog that shouldn't exist in Lagos's humid climate. "What do you want from me?" Chioma asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Nothing," the driver said. "I just wanted someone to ride with. It gets lonely, driving this route every night, looking for the way home." "What are you talking about?" The bike came to a complete stop in the middle of the bridge. The driver turned around, and for the first time, Chioma saw his face beneath the helmet. He looked normal, painfully normal. A young man, maybe 25, with kind eyes and a tired expression. except for the gash across his throat, so deep and dark it seemed to swallow light. 3 years ago, he said softly, I was riding a passenger across this bridge. A truck driver was drunk, swerved into our lane. We went over the rail. He gestured to the barrier beside them. They never found my body. The passenger survived. Chioma's blood turned to ice behind her. The other passenger, let out a sound like wind through a broken window. It was trying to speak. Every night, the driver continued, I ride this route, picking up passengers, trying to make it home. But I never do. And he nodded toward the thing behind Chioma. She never lets me forget what happened. The ghostly passenger's hand finally touched Chioma's shoulder. And in that instant, she saw everything. The crash, the terror, the cold water of the lagoon closing over them. The driver trying desperately to save his passenger even as his own life bled out. And the passenger, driven mad by guilt, unable to move on, unable to let him move on. Let me go, Chioma whispered, not sure if she was talking to the driver or the passenger or both. The driver looked at her with those sad, dead eyes. You're not the one trapped here. Suddenly, the fog lifted. The bridge returned to normal. The sounds of Lagos, generator humming, distant music. The eternal traffic came rushing back. Chioma blinked, and she was standing on the side of the road in Surulere, her legs shaking, her bag still clutched to her chest. The Okada was nowhere to be seen. A car honked behind her, and she stumbled onto the sidewalk. Her phone buzzed. 12:01 a.m. Only 14 minutes had passed since she'd gotten on that bike. Chioma walked the remaining blocks to her house in a daze. Her mother was still awake, watching a Nollywood movie in the living room. Chioma, you're just coming? I was worried. Oh, you didn't answer my calls. Chioma checked her phone. 7 missed calls, all from the last 15 minutes, the time she'd been on the bike. Or had she? Mama, she said slowly. Do you believe in ghosts? Her mother looked at her strangely. What kind of question is that? You know our people. We don't play with such things. Why are you asking? Chioma opened her mouth to explain, then closed it. How could she make anyone understand? Instead, she said, no reason, Ma. I'm just tired. She went to her room and sat on her bed, still trembling. It was only then that she noticed something clutched in her hand, something she didn't remember picking up. A crumpled 1,000 naira note, old and worn, with a dark stain in one corner that looked disturbingly like blood. And on the back, written in shaky handwriting, "Thank you for riding with me. I'm still looking for the way home. If you see me again, please don't get on. Emmanuel." Chioma never took an Okada at night again. But sometimes, when she's stuck in traffic on the Third Mainland Bridge during the day, she looks at the other riders weaving between cars and wonders, She wonders if one of them is Emmanuel, still searching, still driving, still trying to find his way home. And she wonders if the silent passenger is still with him, making sure he never does.